What's up, guys? Welcome back to I-90 Sports. What's up? What up, JD?
Dude, not much. How you doing?
We kind of had to call an emergency meeting now, didn't we?
Yes, sir. Something we predicted happened.
Talk about some shocking news, man. I mean, to me, this came out of nowhere. I mean, Mac Jones, he performed. Don't get me wrong, he performed well through the preseason, through the training camp. I was shocked. They like it came over the radio waves and in the truck for work, and I had to pull over to make sure I was hearing it right because I didn't think it would and at first it's funny though because I thought it was gonna be like a burner account, and so, I didn't think it was real for the first 5 minutes of the report. And I was waiting for one of the Boston media guys to be like, no, this is a fake account. Cam still and then they were like, no, this is real, guys. Cam Newton has been cut by the New England Patriots. It's
The first thing I would say is it says a lot about Brian Hoyer, number one, and then it says even more about Mac Jones. So it's because Brian Hoyer, Belichick probably sees Brian Hoyer as a better backup and a better veteran than he does Mac Jones, which says a lot. What do you take from that as a Patriots fan?
So my first initial reaction was shock. I think pretty much all of Pat's Nation, whether you were a fan of Newton or not, you were pretty much prepared to go into the season with Newton as the starter. This was talk about a surprise cut. This was a surprise. I fully expected them to go into the season with Cam as their starter and let him ride it out till the middle of the season, or till Bill thought that Mac was ready to be the starter. And even I was prepared to go full season with Cam if need be, to have Cam go full season and just have Mac Jones sit the year and just do what rookies do and just watch and observe. But you said, this move speaks volumes on what not only Bill, but the organization as a whole think of Mac Jones. The fact that, so I read something earlier from one of the Boston writers saying that there was 21 practices that the Patriots had, 21 training camp practices, joint practices combined, and Mac Jones won 20 of those out of the 21.
Wow.
Was the better quarterback in 20 out of 21 of those practices. And that's not coming from that's coming from within the organization, that people are saying that he won 20 out of the 21. And it was I'm still kind of in shock that it happened, because it's not a very Belichickian thing to do. It's just it's not I'm actually surprised he made the move.
Why is it not Belichickian?
He just I think he would rather have a rookie sit and unless he was extremely confident in them and felt that he could make it work,
Well, if he really won all those practices, if he won 90% of the practices, then that would make him extremely confident. What do you think? And also, I think it is relatively Belichickian because you're not going to have any confusion going forward. And also, think about this. I saw in the chat that Brian Hoyer sucks and all this stuff, but who's a better comp for Mac Jones? Is it Cam Newton, who's 6'6" and isn't very accurate and is pretty athletic, or he was in his prime, or is it Brian Hoyer, who stays in the pocket like Mac Jones and throws darts? But I would say that I don't know if Hoyer's throw is as well. He's not as good as Mac Jones, obviously, and obviously
you know what Hoyer is going to be. You know what Hoyer is going to be to Mac Jones?
A coach.
Yeah. Seriously, a coach on and off the field, a coach to him. So Hoyer is going to be. He's going to obviously spend time with with, McDaniels and Belichick as the QB1 now, get more like one-on-one time with them. Hoyer's going to be the guy that he spends the extra hour with at the end of practice.
Well, Alessandro's asking me for Foles. He's saying the Bears can the Bears give us Foles. Well, let's see, 2 second-round picks and $500,000, and we'll talk. No, I'm just kidding.
But it's still kind of shocking, man. Like, to be honest, it's still kind of like Bill had to have, in order for Belichick to make this move, Belichick had to have like the utmost confidence in Jones to actually pull something like this off, because like last season, man, let's be honest, he hooked his wagon to Cam Newton, pretty hard. Like, he was not backing down off of that. Cam was his guy, and that is it. And up until this point, it was pretty much that.
Well, it's weird. There was a report that Belichick was standing up for Cam whenever the media was attacking him and stuff like that. And there was a report that he was going to be the starter, and that was going to happen still. What happened to that? Like, did something happen behind the scenes? I wonder. Like,
now, do you want to entertain a little before I get into the reasons why I think he cut him, right? Do you want to entertain a little tinfoil hat theory that was brought to my attention that's just crazy enough to be that, it could be true?
Absolutely, dude.
Let's strap on the tinfoil hats for a few minutes. So that doctor's appointment that was outside of New England. Let's hypothetically say let's say that was a doctor's appointment that was a second opinion on something. Right? So Cam goes and sees the doctors in New England, gets what they have to say, schedules an appointment for a second opinion outside of New England so he can have two different, points of view.
Right.
And let's say that appointment was basically, it was a general checkup. What are my injuries like? How is my shoulder? How is my Liz Frank injury? How is can I physically continue like this to play football at a high level? Right. And let's say that doctor told him, no, you can't. You can't. It's just, what if that doctor came back and that was a negative let's say he got negative feedback from that. And then not only did he get negative feedback, let's say the Patriots, they have to, they're entitled to that paper, to that report too. So that makes its way back to Kraft and Belichick that he can't, the injuries are just, they've taken their toll on him. And let's be honest. We didn't see him run a lot during the whole preseason. It was a lot of strictly in the pocket stuff, and not even making an attempt at trying to run the football.
I haven't seen him do it a lot.
My saying to that would be, what if he can't? Or what if he's afraid what if he's afraid to risk injury?
Well, and then what are you, a 60% passer? There's
not even 50, 58, 56 to 55 to 57 maybe,
Right. And who needs that? I mean, honestly, and I'm not trying to be mean to Cam. Cam had a great career. In some ways you could argue he's a Hall of Famer, but I'm not sure that's a debate, definitely. But I don't see where, and I'm sure we'll talk about this down the road, but I don't see, or not even down the road, but later in the podcast, but I don't see where he could even go to be a solid, productive backup or a starter. But yeah, what other reasons do you think there could have been for his potential cutting.
Well, according to the media, the reasons that were given to them were Mac Jones's complete and utter, like, just his level of play, the unexpected
Right.
level of the rise of Mac Jones, basically. You know what I mean? Like his
His
unexpected
grasp
level
of
of
the playbook.
high play, and not only high play, but high understanding of the playbook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
He
better.
that so that was a huge part of it. That was a lot of why, Bill's confidence was as high as it was, is the understanding of the playbook and them constantly challenging him and him retaining it, taking it, and then using it on the field. Another part of it was, even though we talked about this before, the debacle that was his paperwork stuff and all the
Right.
that was in there too. They said Bill and upper management did not like the fact that could happen, there's a risk of that happening again. So his status in his personal decision was a part of it too.
He wasn't squared away enough for Bill, supposedly.
Well, I think Bill looked at it like I think Bill looked at it and said, what if this happens in the regular season, and what if this happens in like week 10 or 11?
It could
And
happen.
he was like, we have Mac Jones over here who we don't have to worry about that. And is he a risk? Is a risk starting a rookie? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we don't have to worry about that going down, that we don't have to worry about that as much going down in dealing with a situation like Cam, since he decided not to get the shot. But what did we talk about what did we talk about episode 3? That this was going to start affecting guys jobs and guys positions on teams. Like,
it's a sad reality. That is part of their, that adds, it's on the scale now. That's a sad reality of it. And I'm sure if Cam was a huge upgrade from Mac Jones, then Belichick might feel differently about it. But Belichick's probably looking at it like, well, they're the same, probably in the pocket, and maybe Mac is better in practice. He's won all these practices, probably 90% of the practices he's won, even if it was close, supposedly, even if it was, he's won. So why keep 3 guys on the roster if I can't even keep one of them who I wanted to use as a placeholder, but one isn't playing that good, might not, potentially, you said, might not have the health going forward, not even beyond like vaccination status or whatever you want to talk about with that, but like he might physically, like his talk about his plantar and his other injuries and everything like that, his foot basically, and his shoulder and his back, all these problems are piling up for him. And then you got, along with that, you got this paperwork problem. Belichick, yeah, it's just, why not just go with the rookie at that point if he's getting it done?
yeah, no, absolutely. And we also talked about in the last episode that Mac Jones and like all these new report, like, it's funny how none of this stuff, I find it really interesting how none of this stuff, how good Mac Jones, like, how, like, I'm talking about, like, that high view of him. It seemed like it was pretty suppressed for, all through training camp. The Boston beat writers were saying, oh yeah, he looks pretty good, and he looks good, and he looks like he can throw, and he throws, he throws a tight football. He's smart. They were just basically giving him basic praise that you see for any normal, like, rookie. But some of this stuff that's coming out now, it's like, it's almost like they knew this a month in advance. Like they knew this, like, almost like within the first 2 weeks of training camp, that it was leaning this way. And I feel bad for Cam, because then it's like it's almost like stringing him on. It's like they're giving him every opportunity they could to try and win that because it seems like from what the reports are saying, I mean, if that report's true, JD, 20 out of 21, they say Mac Jones looked better at, then that's a landslide, dude.
At that point, you got to cut either Hoyer or Newton, or have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. So that's that. You know what I mean? Because like, what's the point of having 3 quarterbacks on a roster? You might as well have a practice squad quarterback, which you could have anyone at that in that situation. And if you get 2 quarterbacks down, your season's done anyway. So you're not just going to carry 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Belichick is a defensive coach. He probably has all types of guys that he wants to carry on the roster on the defensive side of the ball, that he's not trying to carry an extra quarterback on the roster. Belichick, he literally thinks so little of the quarterback position. I feel like he just thinks anyone can do it. And in reality, my guy Tom here, I got a limited edition Tom Brady 7-ring shirt, but he just didn't have faith in Tom. He could have had 7 rings, but he didn't have faith in Tom. He has faith in Mac Jones. Hopefully that takes him further. And I think that he had faith in Cam for a little while, but like you said, his body broke him down.
You know why I think he liked Cam a lot? Cam didn't throw it. So here's the I get called a Cam Newton hater a lot. I really like a lot. Like I get the Cam Newton hate train like rolling through the station like 4 times an hour. Like it's bad. I base a lot of my views on him. Simply like I try to base it. It's all on the field, all of it. 100% of the stuff is based on the performance on the field. And so the first time he got sick last season, right? The beginning of the season for Cam looked pretty good. The first couple of games, he didn't look too bad. He didn't look too bad.
They competed and
then he got sick, and that mental fog that he had basically carried through the season. So I'm sure that weighed on Bills. And the Patriots have one of the most complex offenses in the NFL when it comes to standing in the line of scrimmage under center and making the play call or changing the play when you see certain things from certain positions, the linebackers, the safeties, the pre-snap reads for the New England Patriots are one of, if not the most complex in the NFL. And I just think Mac Jones, who's been consistently challenged, like that's what you've heard a lot from his camp, is that the Patriots are throwing pretty much everything at this kid, and he's taking it, listening, processing, and then you see it on the field. It just seemed like for Newton, that was to get him to do that process was a chore at times, just like a chore.
Yeah, and I think it's more that like it's I think it's the adage you can't teach old dog new tricks. I don't think that Cam. I think it's not for lack of trying. I think that Cam genuinely did want to learn those things, and he wanted to be the best quarterback he could be. He wanted to be the best Patriots quarterback ever. I think that Cam had every good intention, and I still think he does. I don't think Cam is just out here just like screwing off. He definitely cares about football. It's just his body's failing him, and he was never like you said, he never really got past his 3rd or 4th read as a quarterback, like through his progressions. He was never that guy.
I don't think he even got past the 3rd, never mind to the 4th read or the check. Yeah. Like I think it was just too much for him to comprehend.
And sometimes that happens. Sometimes guys are so physically talented that they kind of, the mental side of the game isn't as important to them, I suppose, because it's so easy. The game comes easier to them. And it's sad because it's not even like they're going to keep him on his scout team, because he just Belichick doesn't see a future in that. And I don't blame him. Cam probably doesn't want to be on a scout team. That would be kind of embarrassing.
No, he won't. No, let's be honest, JD. Cam wants to start. He wants to start. He wants to lead a team. He wants to play.
And I don't think he will. Sadly, I don't think there's a spot for him in the league, outside of a backup. But again, who needs a backup that's not young? You know what I mean? Like everybody wants these young quarterbacks because they're also talented these days.
I just think it's the youth movement, man. The teams are starting. It's the turnover of the team. Like you get the youth, you get the youthful quarterback that you think you can work with, and then you turn it over. You start putting youth around him so that way the team, that's why you don't have an old team surrounding a young. You have the team, the chemistry can grow as a unit.
Absolutely, and I think that Cam would be a great he'd be a great ambassador for the league. I think he'd be an interesting podcast host. The future is very bright for Cam Newton. Mac Jones, my question for him, or really my question would be, why do you think Belichick kind of, or there was reports that Belichick was saying that Cam was the starter just a couple days ago?
Well, I think it was a continuity thing, and that's a Bill thing.
But
let's be honest, right? Belichick hates the media. Do you like any opportunity he gets to jerk them around and play with?
So
you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to tell them anything that they need to know. He's gonna pick his nose up and shoot a snot rocket at them. Like he's not going to tell them anything. You know what I mean? Like, so he ain't going to tell them one thing.
He's like, sure, yeah, whatever. That's funny.
Hey, Ross with the T. He said, "Thanks for the $2 donation, buddy. Don't know hype." And he said, "He's anybody in the market for a Cam Newton jersey?"
How much? Shoot, I'll take it if it's half off.
But in all seriousness, like, me and you had talked about this way back when we first started the podcast in episode 1. Mac Jones would have to be such a clear-cut winner that it wouldn't like. It would have to be such a massive gap between the two of them that there was no way that Bill could ignore Jones. There was That's what it had to be. And like, I find it funny how a lot of those reports, how good Jones actually was. Like, that 20 out of 21 nobody was keeping, that didn't come out until the announcement that Cam was going to get cut was made, Right. Like, now, see, I think now is where you really get, now that the praise comes out for Jones can actually come out without them having to worry about, maybe bruising Cam's, starter ego. Now you're going to start, like, now you see those 20 out of 20, that 20 out of 21 report. Now you start seeing the actuality of what the organization really thinks about him.
You think Bill has the reporters on a leash?
Well, you can't tell me that they wouldn't like consider being like, you can't tell me that they don't go like, oh, don't give this, like, we need to like dial it. But like they have those conversations in the media between the coaches, the media, and Bill. Like,
they do.
Of course they do. You know what I mean? There's no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, and over the years, when you've been there for 20 plus years, like, you probably, you get that type of power. Like, hey, I'm only going to talk to you if you report certain things.
Yeah.
And whether that's fair or not is kind of.
But that's the kind of pull that Belichick has in the area and with the media. That's the kind of pull that Kraft and Bill have.
No doubt. Yeah. And so what do you, now that Mac's the starter, now that Mac is the starter, like, there's no question about it now. The next
official QB1.
He's QB1. No question now. It's on the table now. Mac Jones is the New England Patriots starting quarterback. How many wins you got for them?
I'm gonna put him at 11.
11.
11 ceiling, 11 ceiling, 10 11 at a ceiling. 10 11 at a ceiling.
Do you think they get the wild card or just miss?
No, I think they'll get the wild. I think they'll get a wild card. I think they could easily, in order to make like the playoffs win. Like, we're gonna need probably 12 wins.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
we're gonna probably need 12 wins to like win the division and get in the like without and avoid the wild card. That's probably what we're gonna need.
Well, I think they're better than the Dolphins. I think they're better than the Jets. And I think that they'll have a relatively easier schedule this year.
I think they'll split with Buffalo too.
I'm going to go 10 wins. I'm gonna go tied with my Bears. I have the Bears and the Patriots both at 10 wins, 10-7. I don't know if either of them will make the playoffs, but I have them at 10 wins.
Now, the Patriots like Twitter has absolutely gone insane with this because it was like it like nobody was expecting it. No, this was definitely not what we expected at all. It was a shock move, man. It absolutely was. But I do think I do think that like I think McDaniels, it just like Jones's style fits more with what the Patriots do. You know, just
Exactly.
short to intermediate throws, accuracy in the pocket. Because Mac Jones is not the most like athletic quarterback, but does he know how to sidestep and move in a pocket and give himself that extra half second to throw a football? Yeah, absolutely, he can do that.
He is a Tom Brady prototype. Obviously, he's nothing like Tom Brady as far as like the repertoire, but him and Brian Hoyer, they all fit that pocket quarterback. He's going to do exactly how the coach designed it. He's going to do exactly what the coach wants, exactly what the play is designed to do, and he's safe. That's what Mac Jones is. He's a safe guy. Brian Hoyer's a safe quarterback. He's not going to have too many turnovers. That's kind of what they're going for. Don't throw away the game because.
But see, that's what Belichick likes. Bill likes quarterbacks that are smart with the football. He can coach that into Jones. You know what I mean? If it ain't there, kid, throw it, airmail it 3 rows into Gillette, and let's live another down. We'll focus on the next drive. You know what I mean? That's what he can coach into that kid is if it ain't there, either eat it, brace yourself if you're going to take a sack, try not to get crushed, or airmail it into the stands, and we'll focus on the next down. But it's just really, to me, that was just, I just didn't expect Bill to, because it's a risk. Like rolling into the season this year with the schedule the way it is as with a rookie at the quarterback 1 position, even though Jones has shown very like the building blocks to be a solid QB in this league, it's still a risk, man. There's still you still got a
big risk.
You're still looking at a rookie quarterback, and he's going to be staring across, at some of the better defenses in the league.
Excuse me. No question that it's a risk. He may be good in practice. He may have been challenged very well. He may have a lot of swagger, which is good because he's going to need it. He's going to be facing grown men now. He's going to be facing real blitzes now. He's going to be facing real blitzes, grown men, people coming after him now, like guys trying to exploit his weaknesses. I don't know how good of a season Mac Jones is actually going to have realistically, but I think that anything above 500 for wins, and as long as you throw more touchdowns than interceptions, I think that's a success for a rookie quarterback. Drafted not even that high, honestly. Like he was the first round quarterback, sure, but it doesn't mean you're always first.
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Hold on 1 second. Ross, that might not be the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but it's definitely the dumbest thing I've heard today.
Yeah, let's see. What did Ross say? Minshew is the best QB. Change my mind. Oh, hey, Minshew would be a good backup for Jones.
But yeah, man, like talk about it, like I was like, I heard that news and I was like, we got to talk about this, man, because it's a
Sure.
that's a heck of a move. So Ryan Pitts says, "Roll Tide." Mac Jones, the starter for the New England Patriots. He is QB1, Ryan Pitts. Yes, he is. He has been named the starter. The the footage of him at Patriots practice today with the ones was already put out. It's official, Pats Nation. It's official, guys. He is the quarterback one. He is going to lead this team into the 2021 season.
It's wild. It's pretty wild. I hope that my rookie quarterback leads too. That'd be really nice. This is a hell of a class, honestly. If all these guys turn out to be decent, then this would be because Trevor Lawrence he'll be good. You know what I mean? Mac Jones, I think he'll be pretty good. I think he'll be better than Cam Newton would have been. I think that Justin Fields, if he gets in there, he'll be really good. Zach Wilson, that's the question mark because you're on the Jets.
Yeah.
So that's a big
Zach Wilson might not be his fault if he has a bad. It might not be all his fault because the Jets are the Jets and they're gonna Jets.
Crom's blaming you for him getting. Wait, what? Brian Hoyer's released too. Who the heck's on the roster then? Nobody? Is it just Mac Jones? Is that real?
Wait, what's up?
Apparently, Brian Hoyer is, according to Valhalla Sports Talk, Brian Hoyer, I don't know if it's true or not, but Brian Hoyer was released.
Really? So they're going to keep the two surviving quarterbacks, if that's true.
Yeah, who's the second one? Who's left?
It's Jarrett Stidham and Mac Jones.
Stidham.
So here's the thing. Valhalla, if that's true, I haven't seen that yet I haven't seen on anything from Breer yet. Maybe it hasn't come through in my phone. But if that's true, please confirm that if you could, Ross, please. That would be excellent.
Stidham's on the play. Oh, okay, that's why I haven't seen him on the field.
But if that's true, then absolutely yes, the Patriots will not roll with two young kids like that. They will absolutely bring a vet into that quarterback room. Absolutely.
Well, how much would you pay for Nick Foles? Let's make a deal right here on I-90 Sports Talk. Let's make a deal. You think Belichick would be watching? I'm just kidding. That's what they're asking for in the chat. They're like,
so apparently Valhalla's joking.
Oh, he's joking? Okay.
I hope he was
joking. I wasn't confirming it. No, I was just asking if it was true.
All right, so it's not true.
Okay. Well, in that case, how would I would if I'm the Patriots, this is what I would do.
Well, so then they're going to use Brian Hoyer. Then they'll use Brian Hoyer as a second coach.
Something like that. They have a lot of guys like that. If I'm the Patriots, though, I have Mac Jones. I have all these good running backs because I've seen the running backs. They're pretty great. They have like 4 good running backs on that roster. I'm just running the crap out of the ball, man. Every game, just like 35 attempts, like 35 runs, 20 passes, every game.
Well, that would explain why they have 4 running backs because they're definitely going to use that run game to help Mac Jones out.
That will control the clock. If they do that, dude, I predict if they seriously do that, and that's their strategy through and throughout, and they have a typical Belichick defense, I predict 12 wins. If that happens.
Like I said, I could see 10-11.
Yeah, I say 10 through 12. I think they're bottoming out at 8. I think they'll at least get 8 wins. 8 through 12 is my prediction, but I'm gonna say 10 as like a median. That's my prediction. That's my official prediction.
So this actually NBC Boston just confirmed it, JD. 3
Okay, so
minutes
yeah.
ago, Brian Hoyer has been cut. So he is no
Okay.
longer with the team. So that has been confirmed.
What vet is on the market? That's a great question. I didn't pull that up.
So Valhalla said that they were going to bring in. Valhalla said that they were going to bring in a vet. Absolutely. There's no way they will absolutely bring in a vet.
All right, in the chat, tell me what vets you would like to see on the Patriots, and we'll talk about them.
Yeah. So they have got to bring. They can't roll with the two young kids like that. They have got to have a vet in there, unless they cut Jarrett Stidham and bring the vet in to bring a veteran quarterback in there for you know what I mean.
So who would you want, Bobby?
I don't even know who's out there for vets though.
Lissandro keeps saying Foles, and Louis says Foles.
So Foles is
Everybody
out
likes
there. He
Foles.
could he's there. I don't really know. I'd have to look that up. I'd have to actually look that up.
I'm trying to think too. I mean, this week we'll know. This is the week we'll find out which vets will be available.
But
because they're going to be cutting people
so
left and right.
Just the fact that Hoyer got cuts, that's an even more interesting because he was supposed to be like the second offensive coordinator for Jones. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If they that's kind of strange that they think they like. I don't want to say strange, but they really think that highly of this kid?
Apparently,
like, is he really that good? Like, is his mindset really at that level where they felt that they could release a guy like Hoyer, who was pretty much going to be a coach to him anyways?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't going to play. Like, there was almost no chance of Hoyer playing, and especially if they have Stidham on the roster still, there's almost no chance of Hoyer even playing. He would just carry clipboard and talk to him. But if you have a Mac Jones where he's got the playbook down, everything's good to go in that sense, then what do you need Hoyer for? You don't need Hoyer if he's got the playbook down. Then you just need a legitimate backup, a guy who can run the offense, almost as well as him. And if you got Stidham, although if Stidham's on the physical, you should get a veteran, definitely. Like you said, everybody's saying they should get a veteran. I agree. Just to have a third guy, even if it's a practice squad guy, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, if he doesn't dress most days.
Yeah. All right. So Mike Reese has even confirmed it. So that's that. Yeah, it's official. Hoyer is definitely no longer with the team.
Well, Mac Jones, man, there you go. We should just call this episode Mac Jones, mac and cheese. No, I'm just kidding.
But that is, I mean, it's exciting and yet nerve-wracking at the same time. Rolling into a season with the schedule that we have is we're like, talk about throwing a kid, talk about trial by fire,
He has more confidence in both Mac Jones and Brian Hoyer and Cam Newton and anyone he has in the market. He can get on the market, clearly. So this is maybe Mac Jones is that guy. Maybe he really is going to throw like 20 for 25 every game. I don't know. We'll see.
So here's a little bit of a free agent, like a backup QB tracker. Tell me if any of these names sound appetizing.
Sure.
So we got Robert Griffin III, Tyler Bray, Eric Dungy, Blake Bortles, Ryan Finley,
Blake Bortles,
Jalen Morton, Matt Moore, KJ Costello,
I don't know who that
Case Cookus, Kyler Slaughter, Jake Rudock, Joe Webb, Jamie Newman, and Josh Rosen.
The only ones that stand out to me are Rosen and didn't Rosen sign with the Falcons?
I don't know. It did. It just says this is free agents right now. So
yeah, RG3 signed with ESPN. He's not coming back. So he has
RG3 what?
RG3 signed with ESPN.
All right, so he's out. So take RG3 off.
Matt
Moore wouldn't be too bad as
He's
a
not
vet
bad.
that's been around and knows how to handle. He wouldn't be too
He
bad.
knows the division very well.
Um,
Yeah, Matt Moore's not bad.
maybe Ryan Finley. Maybe
Not terrible. Not terrible. Blake Bortles. He's a gunslinger.
I would be hesitant with Bortles. I don't know if I'd go there.
He's not the guy that they'd want. I mean, he's been around the.
You need a guy who's going to be more of a coach than a player.
I would honestly, Nick Foles. I feel like he'd be the best option. The problem with Nick Foles is you'd have to give us something, and I don't know if they'd want to do that because we're not just going to cut him for nothing because we know people want Nick Foles.
Yeah. Well, especially if if the Pats are looking, you're not going to just be like, oh, here, take them for free. No, you're going to be like, all right, we want something from you for this.
I mean, and honestly, Nick Foles, we know for a fact, like for the first time in Chicago's history, we have a pretty stacked quarterback room. We have a Super Bowl champion, a 9-time Pro Bowler, and a potential superstar rookie. So, I mean, we know what we got. We can't use all these guys, and we know that somebody out there wants Nick Foles for a fact.
Yeah.
It's obvious. Even the Eagles might want him back.
Valhalla, I don't know. So Jimmy G comes up. He mentions Jimmy Garoppolo. You're going to have to give probably something substantial up to get Garoppolo, like substantial. And Garoppolo would not sit up. Listen, Garoppolo would not sit on the bench. He would not.
Yeah, no way. Also, with that, it sounds like Trey Lance, as talented as he is, it sounds like he hasn't grasped the offense completely. So Garoppolo's job is very safe right now. That's what a lot of things I read about this last couple days.
I totally forgot about this, but it's in the chat too. The Garoppolo contract would be an issue. They wouldn't want to pay a guy that much money for a backup.
Well, especially if Jones is actually good. If Jones is good, Garoppolo is history. You know what I mean? Like they don't need Garoppolo.
Gilmore got put on the Stephon Gilmore got put on the PUP list. He got put on the PUP list.
Nick Foles would be an excellent backup for the Patriots because Bill Belichick and him can always talk about the fact that Nick stole one of his rings.
Yeah.
Nick he's been there, he's done that. Nick's a very just very spiritually positive guy. Like he's a very good guy to have in the locker room. People rave about him with the Bears. The thing with the Bears is he just doesn't really do that offense as well as I guess Dalton or Fields. So we don't need him.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I can't say I wouldn't hate that.
Ooh, Mariota. Yeah.
I can't say I wouldn't hate that. I might actually entertain that. It depends on what they would want for him, but that is something I would entertain.
He's making like $10 million, I think, with the Raiders.
I think.
Pretty sure he's with the Raiders.
But what a move! We just wanted to come on here, guys, and talk about this because. Breaking news, I think we all knew that Jones, was performing better than Cam. But I think a lot of Pats Nation didn't expect Belichick to actually, go forward and be like, thanks for your service, Cam. But, the kid just beat you up. That I never thought that Belichick, because that's basically what he's saying. Thanks, Cam, for your service, but the kid beat you out,
See ya. Yeah.
That to me, like, is the biggest shock that Bill actually did that.
I'm not that surprised, but at the same time, I'm a little like it says a lot more about Mac than it does about Cam.
No, absolutely. That because we like, I mean, like I said, we hate to beat a dead horse about like over and over and over, but it was said that if Mac Jones wanted the job, he would have to physically like rip it out of Cam Newton's hand, out of his hands.
He did, apparently.
And he clearly to upper management and the coaching staff, he did that. He took it from him. He did it. He did enough to take it from him.
Yeah, I think Sox Arizona's right. He's just the NFL's not messing around with stuff like that, and
no, not at all.
It's just,
like Sox Arizona, not at all, man.
They're just not. Yeah, whether fair or not, it is what it is. They just.
But that was.
I mean, Cam
literally, it wasn't. The crazy part was like Cam didn't have a lot of control in that situation,
Right. That's why I said he has a potential loss to not from the Patriots, but from the league, because like there was just so many problems with that situation. Like there was too many people who messed it up. You know what I mean? It wasn't on him. He did everything he thought he should have done in order to, and it was a negative test. So if I'm him, I'm looking at like, well, you've cost me money now. You've cost me millions of dollars. I'm looking at the league like these protocols are not like, I don't know.
Well, we showed it. We showed it on the last podcast. What is it, like 97 pages of like stuff of different protocols? Like that's.
And if he followed all of those protocols and he still lost his job because of after he followed the protocols, then I'm just saying, handle that in civil courts. But yeah, I don't know. I would be a little bitter if I
like
was Cam.
we talked about it. We talked about it last podcast too. That was going to be a factor. We talked about it. We had said that this going forward for these coaches and these teams is absolutely going to be a factor to them.
They're just not screwing around, and it's just not. Yeah, fair enough.
And we shouldn't have underestimated it too. Like you shouldn't have underestimated it too, because with the NFL, right? They're playing a giant game of cover your own ass. And they're doing anything and everything they think to make sure that they don't have to forfeit games and miss out on that. Because think about this, right? Let's say they forfeit the game. Let's say one team has to forfeit the game. That's unfortunate. Like, let's say it happens one game. Right. And let's say 2 weeks or 3 weeks down the line, it happens again. And then these advertisers that were supposed to get played during that game, like, think about that. They're going to go to the NFL and be like, you know what? We were going to book a spot next year in one of these games, but no thanks.
Well, and I don't know what the climate is for these advertisers. I don't know if they are all just in cahoots and they just are like, all right, well, only vaccinated people are allowed to buy my products or something. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're just that overly worried about this virus. I don't know what the situation is. Regardless, Cam got screwed by it, and I'm sure many, many more will get screwed by it. And if you don't toe the line, man, they're coming for you. And I think it's unfortunate. I said this last podcast. I think it's unfortunate because we're going to lose some of the better football players out there who don't want to make these personal decisions that they're trying to push you to make. And you're
like Cole Beasley's already considering retirement.
Excuse me. Yes, and that would be unfortunate. That would be one of the better slot receivers in the league. And he's just gone because you guys are pushing him to do something that's not even beneficial to everyone else. It's you could argue it's beneficial to him, but I don't see how it would affect anyone else at all. But I fail to see it. I fail to see it.
So since we've got into this whole, like, since we're talking about affecting stuff, right?
Yeah.
We can perfectly transition into, like, we're gonna go this topic and then we'll go like 10 minutes of questions from the chat, and then we'll call it a show, right?
Let's get some questions. That'd be good.
speaking of it affecting, leagues and stuff, the Red Sox, I believe, have 7 members of their team that
My God.
aren't going to be able to play because they have tested positive. I think I think the count's up to 7 now.
Well, and like, how many of these positive tests even has a professional athlete ever even died from it? They're all young. I'm just trying to be realistic here. Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm sure it's happened somewhere in the world. And I'm not trying to be insensitive to anyone. I'm sure it's great, but I'm saying I think that these young men, like, I think the protocols are a little ridiculous. That's my honest opinion. I think they're a little silly.
You said it before, like we talked, like you brought it up on the show, on the last podcast, and it's like, why? And it's it's a good question. If it was worse last year,
right?
Why weren't why wasn't all this stuff done?
Last year was the pandemic. This is kind of like, we're just kind of supposedly
we're in recovery. We're like recovering from it now. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the numbers say.
So it's a weird like, and I get like these leagues got to look out, but like they got to look out for their, for the leagues. Well, the upper office has, the main office of these leagues has to look out for the well-being of the league. But like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see as many, like, maybe it's because the aspect of the fans are back. I don't know what it like. I don't know what it is, but
but it's like,
it just seems like there's more. It's like, it's airtight this year,
and it didn't far away from the fans. It's just like, that was one. I thought about that, but I'm just like, well, but they're like 50 feet away. Like, I thought, what does that matter? Like, what do you mean? Like, you're saying that it just like, no, I don't. That's why I say it's silly. I don't know. I feel like I feel goofy when I'm talking about this. Like, when I was reading those papers, I was like, this is goofy.
So here's the list. I didn't mean to interrupt you. My bad.
No, go ahead.
So the list so far, here's what the list looks like for the Red Sox. Kike Hernandez, Christian Arroyo, I believe one of the base coaches tested positive as well. Then we have Sawamura, Barnes.
I agree with Clemson, Carson.
Perez and Taylor. So there's like, it's like 6 or 7 people. It's getting long, the list.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's like, okay, they're sick. Okay, well, go rest for a week or something. You'll be fine. That's the end of it. You're a young man. I agree with Clemson, Carson, that, I don't blame everybody for, if they want to do it, that's fine, but it's a personal choice at the end of the day. I feel like it should be. And like, if your business is starting to like crack down, like certain businesses, are more likely to do it than others. These are young men in their 20s and 30s, man. Like, what is, like, yeah, come on, come on, man.
It's we talked about this last week, though, man. We talked about this last week too.
So many players
that it's the effect, like the rules, it's going to start, like we talked about it. The rules for the restrictions for either side of it are, one, they're probably, like, I imagine they're probably like the wording of this cannot be like crystal clear, because I think the league made it that way on purpose. I think they made it vague. They made it vague on purpose so they can skate around it when they want to, and then they can enforce it when they want to.
Exactly. They can be like, oh, well, Tom Brady has it. Well, we can't have him sit out, but it's okay if this rookie sits out, so that way we can look like we're enforcing it to these other people. It's all very posturing. And I don't like it. I don't like politics when it comes to.
We talked about it before. Like we said it last week too, that this was a risk that could happen. Like that this was a risk that could happen, and it's mixed. It's that mixing of business and personal, and it just never works out ever.
Very ugly.
But I think that's all we got. That's all we got for you guys. We're going to sit here. We'll take about 10 minutes of questions, and then we will call it a show, guys. We just wanted to come on here and talk to y'all about the Mac Jones, the era of the Mac. is
Mac and
upon
cheese era,
the
New England.
Patriots. It is here, guys. Mac Jones is quarterback 1.
I bet you're hyped. Give you somebody new.
Like it's got me nervous and excited because like we're gonna like you want to talk like I said you want to talk about throwing you want to talk like trial by fire. Here it is. Here it is. Here's the trial by fire for the kid.
Louis says the new dynasty starts now.
I hope so, Louis. I hope so.
Drop your questions in the chat.
So these last 10 minutes are going to be for you guys. These last 10 minutes are going to be for you guys. So if you got any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll talk about them and we'll answer them for you. And then we will call it a show. Once again, y'all have been great as usual.
I can't wait for next, well, I guess it'd be 2 weeks just about, but still.
We do get a, while we wait, we do get a rookie versus rookie matchup in, I believe, week 2 when we play the Jets. Zach Wilson versus Mac Jones.
Ooh, that'll be fun. That'll be interesting. Well, we get that twice. You'll get it twice. That's pretty cool how that works. Let's see. Is Jones a franchise QB? I mean, if he's really dominating like they say in practice, if he really is beating Cam Newton and Brian Hoyer like that, I would say, I don't know about a franchise QB. I would say he's done enough to earn the starting position though. We'll see.
For them to get rid of, so to me, here's what my thought was going to be. If they were going to go with Cam, if they were going to go with Mac Jones, then they would, in my eyes, there was no way that they couldn't, like, I fully expected them to keep Hoyer as a coach and as like a person that Jones could spend that extra half hour after practice and ask about the system, because Hoyer knows the Patriots system. He's been here before. He knows it really well. So if Jones has any questions, I expected Hoyer to take that role on when it comes to Mac Jones. But with the fact that this tells you, like you said it perfectly before, that this move shows that the confidence of upper management in being like, we don't think he needs Hoyer because he understands. He already understands. He already understands it. So
got it. Now it's time to test it. That's what they say. That's what they're saying. Yeah, they could build him into a franchise quarterback. Absolutely.
It all depends on how they surround him and how they choose to put the talent around him. I think a young QB like him with some serious upside, and there is a lot of upside there. Are there some risks involved with Jones? There definitely is. I think you need to make sure that he can just hone what he has now. And I think the biggest mistake from rookie quarterbacks is just irresponsibility with the football. And I think he's got the perfect coach to kind of learn that from. I think Belichick is going to basically drill it into his head, how to, like, they'll teach him what like, if my reads aren't here, what should I, what's the, what they'll teach him that. What's the next step, check down or airmail it, whether they want him to airmail it into the stands and just survive the next down. They'll coach that into him.
Belichick surrounded Brady with a lot of talent early on, and then he kind of like doubled down and let Brady kind of like hang there as he doubled down on his defensive talent. I think early on he's going to surround Mac with a bunch of offensive talent. I think he's going to focus on that.
Louis makes an interesting point. He said Belichick is not retiring for a while now.
Right.
That's a good point, because he's got this new young, talent, raw talent that he can shape and hopefully teach. And let's say Mac is that guy. Let's do a hypothetical here. Let's say Mac is that guy. Let's say he found. Let's say Bill did it again and found another diamond in the rough, and it fell in his hand. Like Mac Jones fell to the Patriots. They didn't have to give up anything. They just waited, and he fell to him. And let's say Mac is that guy. Let's say he is that guy. Bill's not going anywhere for at least 5 seasons then.
Bill's only like 70 years old, right? 68, something like that. He's not that old. He's got like 10 something years left.
He could effectively coach really well for 5 more seasons.
I would think so.
Absolutely. There is where if he is that guy, JD, the Pats are looking at least 8 years of more, like 8 to 10 of strong football play.
The league is going to regret letting the Pats get Mac. I feel like the league's going to regret letting the Bears get.
Listen.
Fields.
They should be. If Belichick this early in this, without even one real game under the kid's belt, and is showing the confidence where he's like, okay, we've seen enough. I've seen enough. Cam, thanks for your services. Hoyer, thanks for your services. And probably Stidham's going to leave. He'll probably get rid of for him to like. The league should be scared. If Bill Belichick thinks that highly of Mac Jones, the league should be worried. Like, they should be.
I would think so. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. I definitely want to see that first. I think the Patriots will be improved from last year. I think they'll be a little bit better than last year.
Well, like, we could talk about Fields is an instant upgrade, JD. Instant upgrade.
Yeah, I hope we eventually get him in there this year, but we'll see. We'll see that.
But we'll take 1 or 2 more guys, and then we'll call it a show. But that was, talk about a news break and like an unexpected, like,
it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
All right, so we'll take this one as the last question, right? Or the last kind of topic we'll talk about.
Sure.
The Chase Winovich possibly being on the trade block or looking to, the Patriots possibly looking to move him. I hope they don't. I hope they find a spot for him on this team. He's a one-trick pony. You put him on the edge, and on 3rd and long, you just tell him, go get the QB, Chase. Go get him. He's not that good in coverage. He's not that good in setting the edge on the run, but what he is good at is a straight up bull rush and getting to the quarterback. He's good at it, very good at it. Hey. So, as a situational player, I unless I put this up on Twitter, unless somebody blows my mind with a trade, which basically like they come to me with a trade that I can't say no to, I'll keep him on the team. I'll keep him because who knows when you're going to need that. Well, let's say they're in a big game and they need a play and they put Chase on the end and they just say, look, man, it's 3rd and long. We need this drive. We need the ball back. Go get the quarterback. And he can do it,
Right. He'll go do that. He's got one trick pony, but he's useful.
That's what I mean. Like there's spots on rosters for guys like that.
Devin Hester.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame one trick pony.
Well, and here's the thing too, like Gunnar Olszewski's a one trick pony, catching and returning punts. That's what he was he was an all pro. He was the best punt returner in the league last year. He's a one trick pony. They tried him at wide receiver and he's got stone hands.
Yeah, it happens. It's one of those things. Yeah, it's like
I like really fast, there's a spot for guys like that. There is. And I personally think I hope they try and find a spot for him on the team.
Clemson Carson said it's a very crowded linebacker room.
It is. But I think that's all we got for you today, guys. Thanks for joining up and hanging out with us. This was kind of a little pop-up edition of the I-90 podcast because of the breaking news that we all got this afternoon, which I almost crashed the truck. I had to pull it over to make sure I was hearing things right.
Be safe, man.
Well, I had to pull it. I was like, I heard it and I had to like hit the brakes and I was like, hold on a second. And I had to pull it over so I could hear it again.
Yeah, just to make sure. Like, wait a minute. Is this for real?
But Cam Newton out. The era of the Mac starts now, guys. Mac Jones is QB1 of our New England Patriots. And it's going to be an exciting time. It's going to be very interesting to watch. I'm looking forward to it. I hope the kid does well. I'm wishing him well. Also, before we get out of here, guys, I want to Cam, but we're going to end it on this, right? Because like I said, I get a lot of Cam Newton hate. I'm not a hater. I just base a lot of my stuff on the performance on the field and what I see from him on like his performance on the field. But what I will say, here's what I will say to Cam Newton about Cam Newton. He was the perfect teammate. He never threw anybody under the bus. The media absolutely tore him apart last year after every game that he played, and he never threw one teammate under the bus. He took responsibility and ownership for himself, and he said, it's me. It's me. I got to get better. And even when he didn't understand the plays, when that mental fog from an after effect from the old Rona there hit him, and he couldn't remember plays and he couldn't, just really bad, like just after effects of that. And him just being an overall not understanding the playbook, just having trouble understanding the playbook. And it still led to the guy being a class act. So you couldn't ask much more out of a guy for being like an ambassador for the team. He was great at it. He showed that like you can go to the Pats and you can play there and you can have fun. And it is still a desirable spot to be. And that's one of the best things that Cam showed the rest of the league that Bill wanted him to do was like, you could still come here and you can still enjoy yourself.
No doubt. He's a good teammate.
Yeah. No, I got Cam the person giving the footballs to the kids and giving the footballs to the fans after he scores the touchdown and celebrating, and just the guy loved the game. And if he does retire, it was a great career. He was a lot of fun to watch in Carolina. He was a lot of fun to watch.
He had a great career.
Yeah. If this is it for him, it was a hell of a career. And, I wish him nothing but the best. And he was a great teammate. He was a great teammate and a good ambassador for the brand, for the Patriots. And I thank him for that, and you can't ask for much more. But if it was, like I said, if it is his last game, if we have seen the last of Cam Newton, it certainly was a lot of fun watching him play. It was a lot of fun watching him play in Carolina. He was entertaining. He was, that it was just like I said, congrats on it. If this is the last we've seen of him, congrats on a great career. And thank you for being an ambassador for the organization. But on that note, guys, me and JD are getting up out of here. We will be back to the normal schedule for the I-90 this weekend and up to episode 5. But for now, guys, y'all have a good one. Y'all take it easy. Go Pats.
Take it easy.
Bear down, JD?
Bear down every episode. Bear down. Best chat on YouTube. You guys are the best.
All right, y'all. Everybody have a good night. Go Pats. It is the era of the Mac. And we will see you later. We're out of here, guys. Deuces. Have a good night.